Alrighty folks, so a new firmware for the Weebill S is out, Firmware 2.04. I have of course tested this firmware to see what Zhiyun has given us. So let me show you what you will get in a new firmware for the Weebill S and why I don't think it's worth the upgrade. So here we go. Alright, so as I said, we are talking Weebill S Firmware 2.04, which is in this gimbal. And let me just take a look at what Zhiyun says that they have given us. So according to Zhiyun, the new firmware is one, they have adapt to Nikon D780, Z7 II, Sony A7C and Panasonic S5. And I don't have any of those cameras, so I can't tell you if that is true or not. But if you're shooting on a Panasonic and you have updated to it, please tell me what they have added for it so we can see what the changes is. Then they have added something that I know a lot of you guys have been asking for, and that is USB support for the A7S III, and so that you can adjust the parameters from the actual gimbal. And if that is true, then again, leave down in the comment if it's working and if the upgrade is worth that. And then the last thing they say, they fixed known issues. And that is always a fun little one, because what is fixed known issues? That could be anything. That can be small internal things in the firmware that they have fixed. But one of the things that I have hoped that they have fixed was the Vortex mode. So this is firmware 2.04, and just to demonstrate what the problem with the Vortex mode is, I have another Weebill S here with firmware 1.96, which is the firmware that I always recommend you go back to if you got any issues with any of your firmware. And if you don't have it, you can always find it in the description down in the link. I have all the firmware, so you can always downgrade to any of these Zhiyun firmwares. But it works, the Vortex mode works perfectly on 1.96. But if we take 2.04, 2.03, it doesn't work as it should. So let me put it into Vortex mode. There we go. So the problem is that once we have it in Vortex mode, if we want to spin it, then I can spin it. But if I turn the handle, it also spins. So if I'm walking with it and I turn my hand a little bit, I will get a jerk in the actual footage. So therefore the Vortex mode is useless in that mode. They have added some other things with the Vortex mode which is good, which you won't get on 1.96, that it can spin by itself, which I really like, but that it doesn't work in this mode is just annoying. So let me just switch to 1.96 so you can see what the issue is. Alright, so now we got the camera on this gimbal instead, with 1.96 in it. We put it into Vortex, and as you can see, when we turn the gimbal, nothing happens. It will stay in that direction, and when I turn the handle, it doesn't turn. So the Vortex mode should work like this with any gimbal, and it doesn't do that on the new firmware and also the previous one on the Weebill S. So if you're using the Vortex a lot, I recommend you go back to 1.96 or one of the other previous firmwares. So that is a bit of a bummer, I would say, that they didn't fix that. Then I discovered something else, something that shouldn't have been added to this gimbal. One of the things is that if you want to power on the gimbal, it takes forever. Normally I have to press it about 2 seconds, but now I have to press it between 5 and 7 seconds. And sometimes it even doesn't come on, like it hasn't come on yet. See, now, put it here. Like, it looks like it doesn't work, and suddenly it comes on. Sometimes I have to press it a couple of times for it to get on. There we go. So you see, I don't know what happened to it and why they did this, but it's really annoying. With the old one, it takes 2 seconds, it just starts up. So that we didn't need. And then there's one thing that really annoys me. So the one thing that really annoys me is that normally you can just hold the trigger and it goes into follow mode. That is the default, and you can release it. But I like to just press it once and put it into follow. And if you want to do that, go into the menu, you go down to key, and you change the trigger to click. Done. There we go. Now we can click it and it's in follow mode. That works very well, but if we turn off the gimbal and turn it on again, it doesn't remember this setting. So now we just turned it off. Let me turn it on again. Speed it up. Come. So if I press, nothing happens. If I hold it, it goes into follow mode. But if I just click, nothing happens. So that is pretty annoying that it doesn't work. And yeah, I don't know why. In one of the previous ones, they have added that you could click and you could also hold. So now you can't do anything. You have to hold it to do it. So I believe that we will soon see a new firmware because they have to change this. The same goes for the FN button. If you want to go into go mode, you can just hold it. But if you just want to click, you can go into the menu again, change it. But once you power off the gimbal, it will forget it. So that is the two main issues that I have found on this gimbal. So I don't recommend to upgrade to this firmware. You don't get anything useless, I would say, unless you're shooting on the Sony a7S III and you need that camera control and those settings, and that works now, then yes, you can upgrade. But I still find it so annoying that it can't remember those settings from the key trigger. Alright, then I just want to go over one thing that people ask me about a lot, and that is these two handles for the Weebill S and which one I prefer. This one here is Zhiyun's handle, and it is a good handle. There's no issues with it. And this one is the UU rig or a gimbal gear from Ulanzi, which is the one that I prefer. The reason why I prefer this one is that it's just nicer to hold. It has these carves up for the fingers. We got some mounting points, and I can have my monitor on top here if I want to. I don't use that on the Weebill S, but I use it on my DJI RS-C2. So therefore I like this one better, and it is also a bit cheaper. I think this one is about 30 bucks and this one is about 40. This one looks like it has a really nice rubber grip, but it's not that useful actually. So it's a good handle, so if you got this one, then I would just keep it. I wouldn't necessarily go out and buy this one. If you already got this, then it works fine. I use it when I don't use this, but I prefer using this one whenever I can. So the next thing I also got a lot of questions about, and the things that I recommend, is these quick release plates here from Ulanzi, so that I can easily switch from gimbal to gimbal. And they are just great. I have just the standard Full-Cam f38 on this plate for the Weebill S, but on this one over here I have their new plate. This is their new plate, which is totally integrated, and it actually says that it's for the Crane 2S, but it works perfectly for the Weebill S as well. I like this plate, and as you can see, you can also add the lens support for it. But as I mentioned in my video about this plate, is that you cannot shift the camera forwards and backwards, which can be an issue with this one, the lens support and the follow focus motor. So just keep that in mind. If you want to switch to this quick release system for the Weebill S, I recommend that you just buy the Full-Cam f38 and add that to your existing plate. So that is some of the questions that I've gotten lately. And of course, if you got other questions, you can always drop a comment down below and I will answer as good as I can. All right, folks, that is kind of it. I don't have any more for you. And remember, if this is the first time you're here, remember to subscribe if you want to learn more about filmmaking with motion. And then before I leave you guys, if you're interested in the Gimbal Academy, I'm right now putting the finishing touches to it, and I will release it in the end of April. So if you're interested, go down in the description, find the link and sign up for the email list so I'll notify you as soon as we open the doors. It's a great course and I will teach you everything I know about gimbals so that you can become a Gimbal Pro. But that was it, firmware 2.04. You can upgrade if you want. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to downgrade this one again. But that is it, guys. Stay creative and stay safe. And if you can, go out and shoot some dope videos. See you next time. Bye.